Deputy Lyons.
Thank you, Ceann Minister. Thank you for your response. I really just want to say at this stage, because I actually have this 1 minute left, you know, there's two people, I think, in here at the moment who knows what homophobia feels like, who knows what it's like to be called a queer, to be called a fag, to be called a gay. Only recently, I think just before Christmas, I walked from my own house around to the centre where a bunch of teenagers called me gay or some other name they call us. You know, I thought, you know, I was living in a society where this stuff isn't acceptable anymore. But yet, when people challenge people on these issues, and that's what Rory O'Neill did on the Saturday night show, he called it what it is. When it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, looks like a duck, it must be a duck. And I think RTE were completely wrong and bang out of order when they got numerous types of legal advice saying, in fact, that perhaps they should not even pursue and give any sort of compensation out. RTE got it wrong, and everybody in the public knows they got it wrong, and RTE need to come out and let us know that they got it wrong. Otherwise, there will not be confidence in our national broadcaster to mediate any debate with confidence, particularly around issues that affect my life and the people who love me and love all the other people who aren't treated properly in this society. Thank you, Ceann.
Thank you. Deputy Button.
I fully accept the Minister's position regarding involvement in the day-to-day management of RTE. But Ceann, we as a society and this Parliament has a role to play, and the national broadcaster. And Minister, RTE got it wrong. They got it completely wrong, and they folded their tent in. And in this House this week, Ceann, in this Oireachtas, we were told as gay people that it's a matter of social re-engineering by the gay ideological movement. And I'm quoting from a member of the Shannon. And Ceann, let me put in the record this House as I've done before. I speak here not just as a gay person, but as a member of society who wants to be treated equally. I've been beaten, spat, chased, harassed and mocked like Deputy Lyons because of who I am. I was born with a gift given to me, and I've spent most of my life struggling, and I'm finally at a place in my own country, which I love, to be accepted and to see the support from my fellow colleagues here in this House and from you, Ceann, is a demonstration of how our society has gone and come forward. But I will not, Ceann, in a tolerant, respectful debate, allow people who spout hatred, intolerance to be left go unchecked.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Colby.
Minister, you say that it's not up to the Minister, it's not up to Parliament to have oversight of the day-to-day operations of RTE. Yes. But if this Parliament, and if you as Minister, do not say that was wrong, if we don't identify it as been wrong, then we support it. And it will happen again. And it will happen again. And there will be people out there waiting to be offended, doing automated word searches to find offence. And I know people, many of whom would have been far more seriously aggrieved at what happened to them and what was said to them on RTE. They didn't rush to claim the money on it. We need, as a Parliament, to point out that this was wrong, and we do not want to see it happen again.
Thank you, Deputy. Deputy Daly.
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed with your response, Minister, because you seem to have maybe tried to justify some of the comments last week, and maybe you've missed some of the points, because I think nobody has said that these people don't have a right to express their opinions. The issue here is that other people have the right to call it by its proper name and challenge that without being censored. Now, you say in your statement that it would be a matter of serious concern if recourse to our defamation laws was to have a chilling effect on public debate. What we're saying here today is that it is a matter of serious concern that this issue has happened, and that there will be consequences unless we take action. I don't know if you saw the Channel 4 programme broadcast last night, which linked an increase in violent attacks on gay people in Russia with the Russian government's treatment of gay people and its explicit homophobia. These actions have consequences, and for the likes of Brendan O'Connor to turn around to somebody in his audience last week who told about being beaten up for being gay and to say, oh, well, that's real homophobia, I mean, that is just an absolute ridiculous assertion. RTE needs to be independent, it needs to be balanced, and I honestly think that the best thing you could do to take society forward on this is to ask the Department of Education to make it mandatory that all schools will be allowed to listen to the Panty Bliss interview at the Risen People, because I think society would be far better if people were to hear that interview.
Thank you. Deputy Flanagan.
We're at a potential point here where we go backwards and forget about all the gains that have been made on this issue over the years, or we basically drive it further forward by fighting what RTE have done, getting them to row back on what they've done, and actually, in the end, that would end up being a good news story overall. Because while we have won many battles on this one, it is still an acceptable term of abuse to suggest that, well, to say to someone in a national school in this country, you're gay, which means there's something wrong with you. Not necessarily your sexuality, but it's used as a negative term. It's in the secondary schools. I know of a debate that an 11-year-old girl took part in a national school in my town, where she stood up and spoke in favour of gay marriage, and the whole classroom basically told her, hold on a minute, what are you on about? Started laughing at her, etc. They're hearing that somewhere at home. And we need to drive this forward rather going back into the dark ages. And unfortunately, you have pointed the compass in the wrong direction, Minister.
Thank you. Deputy Murphy.
Yeah, the very fact that this is our public service broadcaster is of critical importance. Because we expect a higher standard, we expect balance, because we pay a licence fee. We expect them to defend the principles that are the principles of public service broadcasting. And if that means, you know, taking up the challenge of litigation, that has to be taken up, because you start with one thing and all of a sudden you find that you're eroding a whole lot of principles and rights in terms of debate. And I just don't think in a democracy that we can accept that. Minister, I asked you a number of questions about the Code of Conduct. It was changed the day the payout happened. There was a resignation the day after. Did you have any knowledge of that? Did you have any involvement in requesting that, that resignation? And do you see this as a massive conflict of interest by somebody who was a litigant? And I believe that the money should be paid back because I believe there is an absolutely massive conflict of interest here.
Thank you. Deputy Wallace.
Thank you, Paula. Minister, you say that RTE is an independent broadcaster. It depends on the good favour of the government of the day. It depends on big business for advertising. I don't find it so independent. I got an email today from Ross Golden Bannon, and he said, our community and our supporters now face into a campaign for the referendum on marriage equality in 2015 with one hand tied behind our backs. The most distressful part for those of us now silenced from using the word homophobia is that the mainstream media don't see how they have been played with the legal hand. I heard Colin O'Gorman say today, as a result of RTE's capitulation, it is going to be more difficult to challenge positions adopted by those who oppose equality. More difficult to question if prejudice and discrimination underpin their opposition to a fundamental human right. We do well to remember that without a properly informed citizenry, there is no democracy.
Thank you.